So we've basically successfully reached the first Tyler Perry cliffhanger, really. Um, we're at season one, episode 8, and I have no idea when we're actually coming back, but I'll be sitting here waiting. This was called Birds of a Feather, but it probably should have been called On the Spot because that's what everybody was put on the spot. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. Listen here. This is, like I said, the cliffhanger for the first portion. You know, I can't stand when Tyler does this. It's like, it's not a full season, it's a portion of a season. And then we go to this cliffhanger. So we did basically 8 episodes, and then we're going to be hung on until whenever. I did some searching. I didn't find anything. I didn't find anything as to when it's coming back, if it's coming back. I can't imagine that he's not going to bring it back. This was just too daggone good to not bring it back. But we're at 8. This right here is episode 8, and then this is it for right now. And like I said, this episode was actually titled Birds of a Feather, but I really think that it should have been called On the Spot, because that's exactly what we ended up doing. So first things first, we know where we left. Naomi done put it all out there, gave Rashida the absolute blues. She gave everybody the blues, but she really gave Rashida the blues. And is your little Bible going to protect you from this one, sis? I said, oh, so nasty. So nasty. So rude. Rashida's like, you know what? I'm done. I am done. I understand that you are hurting and you want to pull somebody in because misery loves company. Baby, I'm not going to be company. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm not going to play these games with you that all of these girls have played with you. I am done. And I'm like, yeah. Where do you actually go from here, though? I mean, you don't. There's a good part to it. There was a bad part to it, because it was this whole thing of like, we all knew what was being said in the streets. And she's like, nobody said nothing to me. Well, we thought you knew. We thought you just was covering it up. So at that point, she's like, well, what you going to do? And she's like, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Then she went to that door and she told Myron, come in there. Get in there. Get in there. Put Myron right on Front Street. Just play. They're like, oh, no. Play it. Naomi's like, I'm with the shits. No problem. Plays it. Myron, I looked, I said, girl, run for your life, Miss Thing. Run for your life. Because this is the time when you see that real nasty switch, when boys are messing around on the side with other boys. This generally plays out in a situation where you're put right up there into it, and the boy you've been messing around with may actually flip on you and beat you up or hurt you. See, this is the danger zone of all this foolishness. But if he actually had flipped on you and beat you, Myron, could we really feel sorry for you? Because you was doing the most. You were doing the most. You know you work in a covert operation. You know you got somebody's secret hanging in the balance. You know that this could potentially destroy him as a person, professionally, personally, just in general, could literally turn his life topsy-turvy. And you are just so freely out there kit-katting with some queen on the phone. Was supposed to be a secret, I guess. So at this point, Myron's being put on blast. Of course, Jeff is looking at him like, who you talking to on the phone? which I'm sure he really did want to know. Who are you talking to on the phone? So he feels very betrayed. You know, it was a whole bunch of feelings going around. Myron gets put on Front Street. Myron saying, I was talking to my wife. This, that thing, and on and on and on. And they're like, Myron, girl, bye. Nobody's buying what you selling. You know, Jeff zeroes right in. What's going on? Are you talking about me on the phone? This, that, and it. And I'm sitting there like, girl, he can beat you, honey. He's pressed to the wall. He's getting ready to beat you, Miss Thing. I was feeling like Megan, honey. I said, girl, this is the time when you run, honey. Whatever. It was just ugly. It was so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. But again, if you're going to do some old sideways shit, this is why. See, I was told from a young child, do right. Do right. And then you don't have nothing to worry about. Do right. And you don't have anything to worry about. You know, it's ingrained in me. Do right. I'm not walking around playing those kind of games with people. I'm not going to be your dirty little secret. I don't want to hold your dirty little secret. I don't want to do any of that. But even if I did, I know the value of, if you're keeping a secret, keep a secret. You let it be buried with you. All that running off the mouth on the slide, sneaking. What's happening in the dark? Always, it cannot always be midnight. It cannot always be midnight. There's always going to be light to your dark. The world is made of 50% of each. So either you shut up and you take it to your grave, you keep it in the dark, or don't do it. Don't do it, because then you face with this kind of thing. And I told you I'm sitting there waiting on them to beat him. I said, okay. Because you got him in the position where he got to pick. He has to pick. So he goes through this whole thing, and he's telling Myron, I would never look at you like that. I don't mess with men. I ain't attracted to men. You know, he just literally denounced him altogether. And I said, well, that's to be expected. And I'm still waiting on him to beat him, right? So I'm like, but he didn't do that. And all the girls are just kind of sitting there, and it's just like very uncomfortable, very ugly. Jeff did his little thing, and that was what it was. And then told him, you know, we're out of here. I've had enough, whatever. Naomi's still giving Jeff that fever back and forth. He like, I ain't even get ready to go there with you. He definitely played it very well and swung it around and got it up off of him. Got it up off of Rashida. It was like a master class. When I say it was a master class in the Jedi mind trick, and that's how I felt sitting here watching it. I felt like it was a master class in the Jedi mind trick. Like, we all know what's going on. I feel like Myron know what's going on, Rashida know what's going on, and Jeff know what's going on. But ain't nobody trying to admit nothing to nobody. But we not get ready to give all this to these hoes. We're not getting ready to do that. So I felt like it was a master class. And Myron, you got the shit bucket to carry, as you should have, because you was the one running your mouth. But yeah, I felt like Jeff cleared Rashida for the girls, and Rashida cleared Jeff for the girls. And the two of them will actually have to work out what that little situation is, which is what a married couple should do. Period. Because if you get all ugly, then it's just more conversation for these hoes. So I was like, yeah, okay. So Myron, they were told Bridget, you ride Myron on back to wherever he going. Myron became a punk so quickly. You know, Myron had a little smart little mouth to him and a little work for Jeff. Oh shit, bitch. But he was like, oh no, I don't need no ride. I was going to come pick me up. I said, you scared. Girl, the cat's out the bag and you're scared, bitch. Now you don't even want to ride. You want somebody else to come get you. Bitch, ain't nobody coming. Ain't nobody coming to get you, girl. You think that queen you was on the phone with is going to come to get you? She ain't coming to get you. She like the dirt, but she ain't trying to get tied up, especially once we found out later on in the episode, the person you talk about and talking to is all involved closely too. They know who the person is. They wasn't coming, baby. You going to be calling Uber. But Bridget's like, you come with me, whatever. Jeff and Rashida's like, we're leaving together, whatever. They in the car. Now, here's where it gets a little confusing for me. I'm going to tell you this. Listen, I love Rashida. And she my girl on here. I'm living for Rashida. But I don't trust Rashida. I don't trust Jeff in this situation at all. I don't believe anything coming out of their mouth. I still say I believe Myron and Jeff did something. It ain't clear, Jeff, for me. I'm sorry. Now, I can't wait to see what you all have to say in my comments on how y'all felt about it. But no, baby. I've been riding the rainbow for a very long time, and I was looking at Myron, and I was like, no. Something done happened back in the day. Somebody done some parallel producy, a little sucky, somebody did something. Do I think Myron is more invested than Jeff? Yes. He is completely in love with Jeff. Completely in love with him. And he can't even turn it off because he's dickmatized. And I don't care what anybody says. You have to write it the writing gonna have to get even more creative for me because I ain't buying it. I believe them two been together with their panties down, honey. And can't nobody tell me no different. Can't nobody tell me no different. I don't care. It may have only happened one time. But baby, I believe Myron has been somewhere in the vicinity of Jefferson, Pastor Jefferson, with his boxer briefs around his knees or around his ankles, or maybe kicked behind the bed or the sofa or behind the desk or kicked over in the drawer somewhere. I believe they've been skin to skin somewhere at least one time because he is just too caught up in a one-night love affair. That's what it feels like. And it seemed like it was probably the worst decision that Jefferson has ever made. But this is what this is me talking. This ain't what they wrote. This is me talking. This is what I feel. It's too much engagement, too much. Either that or you're giving single black female / male, kinda. You know, But anyway, Rashida and Jeff in the car, they going over there. When I tell you, she was dragging him in the car and making a joke. It felt, to me, it felt kind of forced. And then it felt like they were getting comfortable. And it just felt like it was like, okay, well, we're just going to sit here and play this game and try to convince each other that what we said for real was what it was back there. But I don't think neither one of you even believe what y'all was saying back there. But they laughing. It was one of them things you got to laugh to keep from crying. You got to laugh to keep from crying because it's very much given, honey, you got the papers, but I got the band, honey. That's what it feel like. Honey, like Bill, honey. I don't know. Anyway, they was dragging in the car. She's giving, your boo gonna be mad. And it's become like a whole big joke. Like Myron is the joke. He said, no, I'm not going to. She told him, no, you're not going to fire him. You're not going to fire him. Because now it's like, we're not going to play the HR game. We ain't going to play the HR game. That's just, he's not going to come after us and ruin us and really make it bigger than what it is. Rashida is about that business. And she is absolutely correct. This is not the time to act out in emotion. It really is not, because if he acts out in emotion, baby, you do not want the LGBTQ getting all wrapped up in this church mess. This will be a mess. It'll be a mess like you ain't never seen before. And that also told me Rashida don't believe that it ain't never happened either. That's what I got. I'm telling y'all, that's how I felt. Then she told him, what else I need you to do is I need you to test your son for drugs. Something going on with that boy. You need to test him for drugs and you need to cuss him out. I said, so what do you need to do, Rashida? Cuss him out. And I understood what she was saying. I got two of them. And sometimes they need to be cussed out just so they understand that this is this main business. You're not no little kid no more. And this bullshit you got going on, no, you need to cuss his ass out. Man to man, you need to cuss him out because he out of order. So I got what she was saying, but it was just so funny at her telling her husband to cuss her son out. You know, she didn't say put your hands on him or nothing like that. She did cuss that nigga out, cuss him out. And I was like, I feel you. I feel you. Because he is right. Here's the thing though. Rashida. The T is when he cuss him out, you need to cuss that little heifer of yours out too. So don't give yourself a pass. Your daughter need cussed out too. Because both of y'all's kids is out of order. But anyway, moving on. Naomi ends up shortly after that being served by Franklin. Well, it was by, the deputy sheriff, honey. Came and served her $50 million. Basically, he won all his money back, but we knew that. We knew what it was hitting at. So later on, they get down there to the church, and now Myron is ending up having this conversation with Tiffany. He didn't end up Bridget. He didn't end up riding with Bridget. He ended up going on and getting him a little ride down to the church, and he was sitting in his car crying, and he crying his little eyes out. I said, look at her, honey. See? Stigmatized, honey. Crying, honey. Not Tiffany. I always want to call Bridget Tiffany. With her simple self. Bridget went over there, and I had the most real scene with Bridget, and she played this scene. She got Myron so thoroughly together. So you can lie to anybody you want. Don't lie to me. I'm telling you, Are you in love with him? Yeah, you are. Don't lie to me. She said, who was on the phone? No, it's my wife. This, that, thing, and the other. And he's like, I just need you to help me clean up my desk and stuff. She said, clean out your desk for what? Just come back to work tomorrow and tell the truth. Just come back to work tomorrow and tell the truth. Now, I don't know about all that tell the truth shit, Bridget. But just come back to work tomorrow. You know how they are. You know they basically won't give you side eye, but they're good people. She said, they're good people. Just come back to work. Be walking in your truth. Tomorrow, she's basically telling him, bite the bullet. Just tell him, listen, I'm gay. Yes, I have feelings for him. I'm out of order. Girl, eat it. Eat it, girl. That's what she's trying to tell you. Now, good advice coming from Bridget. But here's the thing, Bridget. Why can't you do that with old boy pretending to shoot himself? Why can't you do that with Vaughn? You can't do that with Vaughn because you got the same thing going on, and that's how you was able to see Myron. That's the birds of a feather right there. That's the birds of a feather right there. You dickmatized like he dickmatized. Only difference is that you admitting to laying down doing the parallel peduzzi, and he ain't. But you see it for what it is, and you know what it is. And so Myron went on. I said, oh, Myron, you are so weak, honey. And then that's when we found out that it is another person that works inside the church, this, that, thing, and the other. And he told me, he's the one that convinced me of it. I said, oh, girl, stop. Stop it. Stop it. Chet is my best friend. Chet can't convince me of nothing that involves a penis that ain't attached to neither one of us. I made the worst decision dating-wise in the world for me, and Chet was against it from the door. From the very, very beginning, he was never on board, and he couldn't convince me of that. Same thing with me with him. Matters of the heart are just that. Matters of the flesh or just that. I've seen him walking down a wrong alley and try to stop him and couldn't, and he's done it with me. So no, get out of here, child. Anyway, he convinced me. Ain't nobody convinced you to do wrong. You did wrong because your flesh was crying out, Annie. That's why. So just shut up with that foolishness. Anyway, moving on. Let's go on now. I'm going to get aggravated. Let's go on and be totally aggravated with that goddamn Jovan and that Tiffany. Well, her stupid behind. For you to be so smart, you are so stupid. For you to have been hurt so badly, you are really, see, I can't do that. I have the problem right now, and I've discussed this with my people on here. I am hard to date. I'm very hard to fall back. I've had a very bad breakup, and it's been years, many, 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 many years. I have a hard time throwing myself into, my guards are up. They won't go. They've been up for years. You ain't going to run those circles around me. I'll sit and I'll look at you. I'll play till I don't want to play no more. But never again will I make those mistakes I made when I was in my 20s or in my 30s. There ain't no goddamn way. I'm too goddamn old, too mature, and I've been through too much to even allow myself to walk down that road backwards again. You got me all the way. And you sitting around paying your ex and all of this kind of carrying on, and he drugged you so bad and all this, and you letting Javon walk you like this. Girl, bye. There's no way. And it ain't even been enough. 24 hours. He got your nose wide open talking about, well, let's go to Italy with Geneva and William. And you still acting like you can't see it. You see Geneva ain't dealing with you and ain't trying to deal with you. And she, warding you off. Nothing ain't red flagged you yet. Nothing ain't red flagged you yet. You know Geneva. And you know when all of this started, you just got your blinders on that bad. You just can't get it together at all. Girl, you sound foolish. And now he gonna buy the house across the street from theirs. Then he gonna go to Italy with them. No, baby, you a little too invested in them. And why? And all they ever talk about, Geneva this and Geneva that and Geneva. I know you see Geneva, right? Yeah, she your good Judy and all that. But I know you see Geneva, right? You see Geneva, and you know Geneva's a bad bitch. You sitting there looking at her. And for some reason, you ain't never heard about him. You never heard about him. She never mentioned him. He pops up. They got all this history, and they've been knowing each other all this time, and all he talk about is Geneva and all this Geneva Williams stuff, and you ain't never heard. Girl, get out of my face, Tiffany. Get out of my face. So you're another one. I can't do it. Anything that happens to you going forward, I can't even feel sorry for you, sis. It is what it is. You are a nasty piece of a pawn in this little game, and you are so open to play the game. You need your ass whooped, Tiffany. Moving right along. Sister. That sister. What sister is not that tapped into her other sister? I ain't got no close friends that I ain't that tapped into. That's crazy. That's why you only get maybe one or two. You get two good friends if you're lucky. I got one that is a male, and I got one that was a female. And I am tapped in. We are tapped in. All three of us were tapped in. We couldn't get shit past each other. And that's how y'all supposed to be. I don't understand. I don't get it. And if you really are just ignoring the signs like that, then you ain't about shit. Anyway, moving on. Naomi took her stinking behind on down there to that daggone hospital with black roses. I think black roses are so fabulous. They are so pretty, so sexy to me. And even in their evil form, even when it's an evil form, I just see a black rose and it just does something to me. Black roses are just so bad. I used to have them. Here I go. I'm going on off. And I wish I actually had them again because it would actually match with my decor that I actually have now. But I got rid of them when I went years and my house was all white. If you've been with me, for any time you remember when my house was all white. I ended up getting rid of my black roses, but I had some black leather roses. So bad, so bad. But anyway, I can make some, but whatever. Anyhow, those black roses. She's coming in with the black roses. Her and Franklin going back and forth, and she done brought them. And the lady comes in. As the nurse come in, and the nurse is telling her, she's like, no, you can't be in here, you know, because her back is all open. So, she's too susceptible to, you know, infection, this, that thing, and the other. And I was like, Lord have mercy. She will say, did you know that yeah, girl, he left me for this white bitch? I was like, oh no. I was like, girl, stop. Naomi is too much. She is just too much. And she's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. She said, you getting all mad at me because I threw the little coffee on her and stuff. I was trying to turn your white bitch brown. She threw them black roses on that girl's back. And, you know, Franklin's crazy. Like Franklin literally, you know, they had that whole little exchange, and she gonna say, he told her, don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me. He said, because that is reserved for her. I said, there you go again. That's why she got the black roses thrown on her back, because you're going to throw her in her face again. I said, you ain't helping. You are not helping. And she told the lady that he got a small penis. And it curved to the left, girl. I said, Naomi is too much. Naomi is too much. Threw them black roses on that lady and ran out of there. And I'm like, they already told you about outside stuff and the infection, and then there's thorns. Like, girl, you just mean and hateful. I was like, girl, she's terrible. Terrible. Anyway, so she goes on. She leaves. She run up out of there because they call for the cops and stuff. Then we actually got this here scene with Rashida and her son. She busts him. He in there stealing money out of his dad's drawer where his jewelry and stuff is. She gets him. They end up having the whole exchange. She's like, are you on drugs? This, that, and the other. He's like, no, I gave you money. I need the money. You ain't worried about this little bit of money. This, that, and, you know, classic crackhead foolishness. And then him and her have this whole altercation. He done yanked his mother by her arms because she's like, give me what's in your hand. And he's like, she's going to try to take the money from him. And he done grabbed her and told her, don't make me hurt you. Do not make me hurt you. I was like, and the daughter's standing there in the thing looking, and I'm looking at Rashida, and Rashida was shocked. She's like, boy, I said, girl, he out there. He outgrew the cooker guy. That's what my grandmother used to call it, honey. My grandmother, anybody was all messed up on drugs, honey, come through there, child. My cousin would come through that house, honey. As soon as my grandmother would catch that he was high, she'd be like, get out of here. Get out of here. You done been down there to see the goddamn cooker. That's she would go off. She would go all the way off. My grandmother had this thing about people on drugs. She's not going to deal with you. It was not even about you stealing or anything like that. It was about the mental state that made my grandmother uneasy about people on drugs. She didn't have it to do at all. She's like, nope, people get on that crack and they literally kill people in their family. And we actually have had that happen in our area. Like a person in our area actually killed one of their elders in their family with that old drug, that old crack shit. And my grandmother's like, baby, they ain't gonna get me like that. That's not gonna happen. So she really had a thing about you being high up. She told me, get your ass out of here. You'd have been down to see the cooker. I was like, the cooker, where'd she come up with that at? But every time I think about it, I used to laugh at her when she used to do it when in live and in living comedy, like, here you go with that shit again. But yeah, that's the first thing came to mind. I said, he is so crazy. And then the daughter standing there, and I'm like, and you can kind of see, you know, that hard surface that she had and that nasty for her mother dropped at that moment. She's like, Mommy, are you all right? You know, this, that, thing, and the other. And then she kind of just like went on out of there. Do you know? Y'all know I love my brother, right? Do you know how hard I would have punched my brother in his forehead about yanking my mother? I don't play them games. Are you freaking crazy? That's when it becomes me or you. Just me and you about her. Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Right, I cracked him in his forehead and he, boy, then snatched her all up by her wrists. Are you crazy? Child plays that thing had me. I said, y'all doing too much. Tyler sure know how to stir it up. He know how to stir it up in you, honey. I said, I don't play these crackhead games. I really don't. Crackhead games. You want to be introduced to the bumper of my car up close and personal? Play them kind of crackhead games. I ain't got time for that. It's ridiculous. Anyway, last thing, baby girl. William and Geneva's baby girl falls off the swing. They end up down at the hospital with the nanny. Geneva being all nasty to the nanny. William's like, it's, come on, Geneva, seriously? But again, that's what people do when things like this happen. They're always looking for somebody to blame. So the nanny ends up leaving. She told her to leave. She said, I want to make sure she's okay. And I just turned my head for a second. It's like, girl, negligence, So she ended up leaving. Tiffany shows up and Javon shows up. They show up together. So she's telling Tiffany basically, y'all, just, why are y'all together? Like, why are y'all here? Like, she's like, did you tell the other girls? She's like, you know what? We need our alone time. She was like, girl, I am not leaving. I'm not leaving. And it was so crazy because everybody knows that Anika is like everybody's baby. She's the only baby. She's everybody's baby, all the girls, And she was totally offended about being asked to leave. And I got that. I get that because y'all supposed to be sisters and all of that good stuff. And she asked him to leave. And baby, before she got the time, honey, on the spot, you ended up, I said, oh, Tyler, I'm glad you rolled this out so fast. Because this was a hell of a cliffhanger, baby. But she fell. She needed transfusion. And they're like, okay. The doctor, I said, listen, the doctor, baby, the doctor was everything. Said, Geneva, I need to talk to you. William's like, well, no. You can talk. No, Geneva, I need to talk because the doctor know that Geneva done worked Jack and that William is not the father. You are not the father. They pushed this doctor all the way in to where she literally had to come on out and say, listen, Anika is an AB. I need a transfusion from an AB. And William's like, that's not possible because I'm an O. So you are. Somebody needs to tell me what's going on, honey. See what I mean? When I said that this episode should have been called On the Spot. Now everybody's here. Hey, the gang's all here. Javon's standing there, Tiffany's standing there, and now we got a paternity situation that is just, you can't even get around it. I said, this is just as bad and just as uncomfortable as the whole Myron and that stuff at the beginning of the episode. This episode was, whew, I'm saying, Tyler, I have to say, Mr. Perry, good job. I yanks you when you ain't right. But good job, Mr. Perry. 8 episodes, and I only really had to drag you about one of them. One of them, you tried me. You tried me. But all in all, this Divorce Sisters, excellent. Absolutely excellent. And remember, I was with Sisters in the very beginning, and I fell off from Sisters. Divorce Sisters give me everything I need. Everything. And I do hear that Sisters is actually really, really good. And it has lasted quite a long time. I'm kind of sad that I actually fell off because I just can't find myself getting back in with that, or picking up with Zatima. But Divorce Sisters, this is giving me everything I need. And Beauty in Black is fantastic as well. So Beauty in Black will be back. We don't have long. Beauty in Black will be back. I hope we don't lose this in the shuffle. I know he's very busy, and he got a lot going on. I hope this does not get dropped off somewhere, because I told y'all they dropped off. My favorite series from Tyler Perry was Long Way From Home, and it got dropped out like very early in like this, and I think it was the best production that he's ever done as far as a nighttime drama. So got my fingers crossed for Divorce Sisters. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you, Mr. Perry. I appreciate it. Listen, I'll keep my fingers crossed that I will catch you all with more if it comes back. I done signed up for BET Plus and everything. I done signed up and sent people to sign up. They owe me a check. Anyway, listen, I'll see y'all. I love y'all for real. I will catch y'all on the flip side. Later, y'all.